I did want to facilitate more of a conversation with everybody. I've been doing this for about 13 years. So my name's Agnes Watkinson. I am the co-founder of NextGen Professional, and I also am the president of NextGen Women, which is a new group that we started in 2022, specifically to help women elevate their careers in construction, architecture, engineering. It's a day-to-day support. We're still in our grassroots, but if you see our website, and I have information on that afterwards. I've been doing these types of talks and workshops for just over 5 years now. There's in the recruitment world, which I do have obviously a recruitment background. I actually come from a construction management background and fell into recruitment. I've just seen a lot working with hundreds of different organizations ranging from mid, small, all the way to large groups. And there seems to be a lot of trends in terms of hiring challenges and retention challenges. So that's why I wanted to do this in a workshop, because for the most part, you guys are gonna have the same issues. So we can talk through that together. What else is there? Oh, as well, NextGen Professional was the brainchild behind the Career Hub. If you don't know what the Career Hub is, we started in 2018 with Informa. We were asked to come in and start creating a strategic resource center for hiring managers and job seekers to connect. That was in 2018. We were the only sponsors of the Career Hub, and as of today, we have companies like Multiplex, the Career Foundations, as well as some unions that are involved with the Resource Center. So I think there's about 5 or 6 of them. So we're forever growing that as a collaborative effort to bridge the gap between job seekers and employers. So that's in booth 1917 when you go down to the trade floor level. It'll be right next to the food court area. If you are a job seeker, if you are a employer, somebody there will be able to help you. That's basically what the Resource Center is. Okay, so I already went through a little bit about me. So this is me. Like I said, I do a lot of speaking engagements on this topic, see a lot of commonalities. I've done sort of a meta-analysis over the years. So this is just a compilation of my observations. Oh, we already went through all this. Okay, perfect. So this is basically what we're going to be working on, the importance of hiring and retention. Why is it so important? And I'll go again through some of the examples that I have from my career. Hiring and retention challenges, hiring strategies, retention strategies. So what can we do to make this better? As well as a workshop format, because I kind of want this to stick and I want this to go home with you, and I want you to talk about it with your employers and with your other business owners, partners, to actually think of a strategy. I could get up here and talk to you about stats all day long. I can give you those stats afterwards, but if you're more interested in a progression moving forward, I thought this was just a better format. Okay. So, and I'm gonna sit, guys, with you because, like I said, I want to facilitate a conversation. So, okay, I'm gonna ask 3 people to raise their hand if you want to, if you feel like participating. I want you to introduce yourself, your title, and I want you to introduce 1 or 2 hiring challenges. So anyone who just feels open at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday in front of everybody. I don't bite, I promise. Anybody? Sheen, come on.
Fine. I'm Shannon. I work for Homestead Land Holdings as a property manager. Haven't been a property manager for super long, so I haven't hired too many people. But I find some of the challenges that I've run into, having been a trainer before that, was people coming in with a misconception of what the job entails. So that can be a bit of a
misalignment of expectations.
Yeah.
Yes, very common, very common. Anybody else? Great, thank you. Yeah, hi.
I'm just going to stand up.
Absolutely.
So I'm from the healthcare industry. I work at Mount Sinai Hospital in the facilities management and project management office.
Yes.
Doing it for a while, but recently became a manager. And a lot of challenges, not just with talent and experience, but also competition in terms of hiring, and also retention.
Yes.
The nature of the business or the sector and the competition amongst hospitals, believe it or not, public sector hospitals are run to compete with each other. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested to hear about the retention part particularly.
Okay, and that's interesting that you come from healthcare. I mean, you're still within building maintenance, I'm assuming, and project management, CapEx, all that, but you are still in a different industry, kind of in two different bubbles there, and you're still experiencing the same issues. So that's very interesting, cross-sectional. One more person. Be brave. No? Okay, that's perfectly fine. So we're gonna go through, why is it important? Okay, so why is it important? Talent as a competitive edge. So this is just, again, a compilation of things that I've seen over the last 13 years. Some of my clients want to hire the best people, top talent, and they sit there and they say, I need this person to come in and just run. They need to jump in. They need to jump in, they need to run the program, they need to do estimating the way we do estimating. They need to be a site super the way we want our site supers to be. That's great. That's the talent that they have that's going to help their organization run fluidly with minimal transition. So that's one of the areas that I see people constantly ask for. Another area that my hiring managers ask for quite frequently is they want a very specific individual so they can win a project or a bid. So they hire for a project. That happens quite a bit. So for instance, a project manager, we're working on a project right now, project manager who does wastewater from a GC perspective. They need to fly out remotely past Ottawa and live there for a little bit. Like, that's a really highly specific individual. The reason for that is they want the qualified individual to land the client or the project. So that's another common area. So competition, as far as it goes, or competitive edge, is your talent will dictate how much work you get, how successful you are, how quickly you can finish that project. And talent can get your organization basically recognized. So that's what that's telling me, is individuals can see, or hiring managers can see, the recognition from hiring this top competitive talent. The only issue in the misalignment, or the misalignment between expectations that I see when I'm speaking on the candidate side, when I'm talking with the candidates, is they know how valuable they are, and they will gauge your company. So I get a lot of hiring managers who sit there and say, I want top talent, I want top talent. Are you good enough to hold top talent or attract top talent? That's the disparage that I see between the two. Impact on productivity and morale. This is something we see quite a bit. So obviously a turnover rate or an inability to hire for a particular position is going to increase your stress and workloads and decrease your morale. I see this quite often. I actually get calls from candidates who just want to leave because the organization is turning over so much that the burden of taking over other people's job loads is coming down on them. They don't feel there's a culture, they don't feel there's a team fit. So stuff like that, that's where candidates will call us. They're passive candidates usually, but they're just looking for the right fit. So I'm not interested in moving right now, but things are not going the way I thought they were at this organization. Keep your eyes open, eyes and ears open. You're also spending time on training, onboarding, recruiting. You're also losing that time on the back end as well, so it's a double-edged sword on that one. Quality control. How many projects rotate through project managers, and then the client sits there and says, who the hell is my point of contact? Who am I talking to? So there's a customer service and a quality control decrease as well. Reputation, going back to the first particular area of top talent and talent knowing who you are. If your reputation is that you turn over and burn over candidates, we've actually had to let go of some of our clients because their reputation was so bad in the space, we could not hire for them. We just couldn't get anybody to go to this office and interview, which was really interesting. And then burnout, obviously you're going to be burning out your employees that are staying. So burning them out can cause a resignation snowball. I've seen this, and you have all seen this back in 2020, 2021, the great attrition. I don't know if any of you read some of those articles coming out. That was the biggest resignation snowball across multiple industries. It is a very catchy situation when it goes. It's sticky. So if you start getting 1, 2, 3 people turning over, you'll start to see that momentum slide. So that's one of the areas, another area. Finally, the financial implications. We all know obviously there's a cost to this. So the direct cost being your training, equipment, signing bonuses, non-production. If you hire an external hire, on average, we see on average 15 to 20% increase in that salary. So you got to remember, if you're looking for a project coordinator and your current project coordinators are making $75,000, you can't ask someone to move for $75,000, assuming you're in the same market bubble. You need to ask the $65,000 person to go into the project management, because everyone, almost everybody, wants a financial motivation to move. So you have to consider who's 10 to 15 points less than the position you're hiring for to move them in. That's another area that is very, there's a discrepancy between what hiring managers think they're going to get versus what they're actually going to get with the salary that they're putting forward. And then there's hidden costs. The hidden costs that I see from my perspective is, even if you were to hire, there is a learning curve. Their learning curve actually goes through a negative dip where they are costing your organization money when you're onboarding them. This can last anywhere from 3 to 6 months. It doesn't really matter, from my perspective and from what I've seen, it doesn't really matter how junior or advanced the person is. It's really on your culture, your training, your development, your processes, your procedures, how smooth of an onboarding process. So that can last 3 months to 6 months of non-productivity, non-revenue generating. There's I think Forbes in Harvard Business Review does a lot of these analysis in these studies. Then eventually they go into an up curve, an up bell curve, and at that point they will start providing revenue to your organization. So there's all these hidden costs associated, and we can go through that. And adapting to a changing workforce, of course, remote versus hybrid. Anybody get this from their candidates, from their interviews? We get 99%. I mean, there's maybe one person in the last year who said, no, I'm perfectly fine going day to day to the office. So what are you doing with this new changing landscape? 2020 with COVID, I wrote a news article in our periodical, so I will give you that QR code so you can go onto our newsletter as well. I called it the genies out of the bottle, because the amount of clients who just were trying to force people back into the office and the amount of candidates who just wouldn't go, it's starting to mesh a little bit better. I think we're starting to figure it out, but it is still very prevalent. They want either hybrid, or, and I still get asked for remote. I ask them to clarify that, but still hybrid is very high top priority for individuals. So I do have a news article on LinkedIn regarding hybrid models. What do they look like? How do you find the model that works best for your organization? It's a strategy. It is absolutely a strategy. And then cultivating innovation and diversity. So I do a lot of talks. As I mentioned, I'm also the president of NextGen Women. I do a lot of talks on diversity and inclusion and hiring practices. This is a whole animal, and we can go through this. It's going to take hours to just sort of dissect it. But this is a strategy that you can use to incorporate a different workforce that has longer staying potential, longer training potential, and will just get you over the hump longer, because as we mentioned, there are financial implications to not hiring. So if you're not hiring and leaving doors open, you're still, even if you did a backfill with somebody who was a little bit different than your traditional hire, still could work. And I don't want to get too much into that. And there's also a YouTube I did with PCL and Elliston regarding their diversity and inclusion hiring practices. If you want that link to that, I don't know if it was podcast, it was during COVID, it was one of these speaking engagements, but done virtually. I have the YouTube link. I forgot to put it on my slide. I'm sorry. Okay. Open up your workbooks. We're going to do this together. So these are some of the most common hiring challenges that I have encountered over 13 years. This is everything that we have just recently discussed and or touched upon. Would you like a workbook? I'm sorry. Are there extra workbooks? Thank you. Okay, thank you. So just to kind of get you started here and just have a think about this, because some of these might be touching points that you guys have experienced as well. So talent shortages are your difficulties finding qualified candidates with the right skills and experience. Competition, gentleman from Cyanide, yes, there is increased competition among companies for limited pools of skilled professionals, and they're in high demand. So you're probably getting poached from left, right, and center. Lengthy hiring processes. If you have a very lengthy hiring process, it will slow you down. Cost of recruitment, I'm expensive. If you pay for my services, they are very expensive. If you're blowing through candidates, it will add up. So that is something absolutely 100% that we'll talk about. Mismatched expectations. There's definitely mismatched expectations between what individuals perceive, hiring managers perceive they will get on a job description versus what actually is out there. And we do a lot of consulting work at my firm to bring expectations in alignment with market, or if you're looking for somebody different, to raise salaries. If you're looking for that unicorn, you gotta pay for the unicorn. Retention challenges, we'll talk about that, leading to revolving doors of employees, diversity and inclusion. So struggling to create a diverse and inclusive workforce can also stifle your innovation and strategy building within your organization. If you're not bringing in different individuals who think outside the box or think differently than you actually get captured in groupthink. And I've seen this. I've seen companies who get captured in groupthink and they just kind of go yes, yes, yes to the same old, and they're not innovating within their organization. So we work with companies on that as well. Technology skills gap, brand perception, we'll talk about that. What are you doing to brand yourself internally to your existing candidates and your existing employees? And externally, how are you reaching out to the community to find these individuals? How are they going to research you? I've seen everything from incomplete websites to individuals who don't have a project list, so I don't actually know what you do. So these are all just different areas that we can touch upon. So on your worksheet, the first question basically is, what are the most significant challenges your organizations are facing in hiring the right talent? You can use some of these. You probably have some unique ones. Go ahead, have a think about that. The next section is your hiring strategy. How do you ensure that your job descriptions are accurately reflecting the expectations of your role? What are you doing to benchmark, to be consistent with the market space? What external resources are you guys looking at to ensure that you're in the marketplace? Retention strategies, that's another area which we were just talking about. How do you gauge your current employee satisfaction and then engage within your team or the company? And then finally, innovation and adaptability. Of course, we just talked about the changing workforce landscape. So how is your organization adapting its hiring and retention strategies? Do you have a diversity and inclusion policy? Do you have unbiased hiring and interview practices? And measuring success. How are you measuring your changes within your organization and the success that they bring? Awesome. Anyone want to share from the first question, your challenges? Anyone want to share a significant challenge your organization is currently facing? Because I guarantee you someone else in this room wrote it down. Hi.
Kingston, ours is rate of pay.
I'm sorry, yours is?
Rate of pay.
Rate of pay. I'm from,
Kingston.
we just moved to Lanark, so very familiar with the area. Yeah, okay, so rate of pay, are you're feeling you're not competitive enough?
Yeah, for us, like, because we're trying to pay market, like, the guys who rates towards like, companies.
Yeah.
We have a hard time paying because our companies are doing.
And there are ways around that. There are absolutely, and we can talk about that in retention strategies. So rate of pay, okay, perfect. Anyone else want to share?
Qualified applicants in some of our other departments, like maybe a skilled trade, that struggling to find, say, a certified G2 licensed mechanic for HVAC department causes some strain.
Perfect. Okay, and we had one more.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same, just lack of skills.
Lack of skills, okay. Perfect, okay. And we'll get to some retention strategies. Sorry?
A gap in terms of the amount of people out there for the type of roles.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So right now in the workforce, again, I'm very specific to AEC, but I mean, I'm assuming this is going to be across multiple industries. There's physically not enough bodies to complete the work of the pipeline that we have going right now. So please keep that in mind when you are hiring. There physically is not enough bodies to complete the work. And if we're all poaching from each other, which is what's happening, I know because I do it, that's my job. But when I do it, we are inflating those salaries and we are pushing people into roles that they are not ready for. And I've had those calls with candidates as well who get pushed into director roles, leadership, management positions, and they are not managers, they are not ready. They maybe have 3-4 years experience. What domino is that going to look like on the back end when our projects start to have issues? Okay. Hiring strategies. So we're going to go through a little bit of the hiring strategies, and I apparently have to make up time. So from hiring strategies, the 2 areas that my organization focuses on when we do consulting is, and this is just, by the way, some areas that you can research and look into, but I focus on 2 overarching categories: impact and growth. That seems to be an area that a lot of candidates are looking into. They want to know the impact that they will have within the organization and their growth potential within the organization. Hands down. That's actually how I sell roles. When we do video presentations to get candidates enticed and excited about a role. We always go with this is a growth opportunity. And when I'm interviewing my clients, I dig. Where is this person going to be in a year? What's their succession plan in 3 years? Where are they going to be in 5 years? Because I can sell that. I can sell the trajectory of their career growth and the impact. Is it a social impact? Are they going to have a financial impact on the organization? Are they going to have a management impact? I like to go, if it's more of an intermediate or junior role, I do like to go a lot with you're going to impact others through mentorship, your leadership and mentorship. So I have to grow that potential within an individual if I was a hiring manager so that they feel they can mentor and help other individuals. I also go with showcasing the values and the company culture. That's one of the other secondary categories that I can sell. I can sell company culture and I can sell the values of an organization. And I will actually go through companies' websites and find any of their social, like if they have social committees or if they're doing any sort of charity work, I can sell that to an individual to move them. So then we're going to go into that worksheet, the next one. Okay, workshops. So basically, these are some of the areas that we see the discrepancies or the misalignment. So are you, or where are you posting your open roles? You know, are you posting on LinkedIn, right? Probably not. You're probably on Indeed. You're probably looking at different like where are you hiring from?
For us, our HR department was after that, so.
You already which?
Our HR department puts it up, but yeah, Indeed.
Indeed, yeah. So you're more trades-based. So trades-based, in my mind, I would probably have my team look more into Indeed, or we would look at community programs. There's actually internal community programs with Employment Ontario affiliates. So if you're more on the trade-based side, you can hook up with some of these programs, and they have workforce development planning teams. These teams will go in and find individuals and train them up for you with your front-end sort of input. So that's a really great resource for somebody like you. Again, they're down in booth 1917. We've actually added them to the Career Hub, so you can find them later on. If you're looking for a more highly skilled professional, you're probably on LinkedIn. Are you posting on LinkedIn? Are you telling LinkedIn to look for these skill sets and these qualifications? Did that person put their skill sets and qualifications on their LinkedIn resume? Are you actually finding them through those SEO searches? These are all things that you need to look after to ensure that you're actually spending your money in the right spot, because advertisements are incredibly expensive. My organization, after 13 years, has never posted a job. We never post on LinkedIn. We never post on Indeed. We do direct headhunting. It takes longer up front, but on the back end, it's actually much shorter than trying to sift. I don't have time to sift through 300 resumes. You don't have time to sift through 300 resumes. I would rather hand pick 30, 40 people and talk to those 30, 40 people and then keep moving forward if I haven't found somebody than doing the posting way. How are you showing up in the industry? So that's something we were talking about in terms of hiring strategies. Does your community know who you are? What events, publications, and resources are you using to engage and collaborate for your candidates to see you? So are you getting involved with open houses? Are you getting involved with your publications? So for instance, if you're with CIQS, which is the quantity surveying community, tons of advertisements in the CIQS regarding PQS open positions. They do a lot of great work in terms of telling people, who's been hired where and who's been, upgraded to a different qualification. It's a really great resource for a hiring manager to put their advertisement into. That's your people. You are specifically targeting your people. How smooth is your hiring process? We did talk about this a little bit. If you have a lengthy hiring process, again, candidates know what they're worth. And the other thing too that I've noticed from candidates, and this is just something that came to me this morning, they've been interviewing, some of them, with like 5, 6, 7 companies. So again, they're now interviewing you against the 5, 6 other companies. If your process isn't buttoned up, they will see you as disorganized, and that will be a negative mark or tick against you. So having a smooth process actually gives them confidence that you guys have an organization that is established and has processes and procedures and can help them and support them. So that's another reason. And that's something that's come up frequently in conversations when we've had failing interview processes from the hiring side. Candidates will back out. Like 100%, they'll just back out of a process because they just don't want to be involved with that mess. And then when was the last time you audited compensation? Again, we're turning back to benchmarking roles. Do you guys do internal audits? Are you losing people or not even able to bring on people because your expectations of salaries is not in alignment with what the market's at? So these are all questions. Does anyone have, we talked about, again, on Indeed, does anyone have any stories of, how are you showing up to the community? Does anyone here do community events or go into publications?
Homestead's been involved with the University of Guelph, the real estate program, for a number of years where
Excellent.
HR would go to their job fairs, and we'll find quite a few actually individuals who graduated that program and came into the PMT program and then worked their way through.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, and how successful has that been for them?
Successful. 2, maybe 3 of our VPs went through that program. 3 of our VPs went through that program, and we have a PMT, I think, now who went through that, and a PM. So it's worked.
That's incredible because now you just said you had VPs, so you think about what a VP's cost to an organization is, and what was your investment in going into this particular program. I mean, obviously I don't know the numbers, but I'm fairly confident if you got 2 VPs out of this program, it has already covered the cost of the investment of going into this program and creating it. So awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So this worksheet, definitely take this part of it home. I wanted to share with you, I think it's the next slide. This is a company I work with. You guys probably know Multiplex General Constructors. They're an international firm. Yes, okay. Are you from, no, you're not from there. Okay. You were nodding like you knew them. Yes, yeah, exactly. I'm highly involved with their team only because their HR VP is on my board of directors for NextGen Women, and I am in awe of how they do company culture and how they do their hiring practices. They are incredibly tight-knit as a team. And one of the areas, this happened on November 15th, so this is very, very recent. They threw their first open house in Toronto. They, for the last 6 months, with my help with the building show, we put together a master list of all post-secondary institutions, whether it was college, trade-based, whatever it was. We put all of those professors, those programs, those contacts together, and they did a mass mail out. They did an email campaign, and they threw their first open house in their office. They made it spick and span. They catered. It probably cost them $2,000. They got 3 hires out of that. Nice. 3 beautiful hires. These kids came in. They were professional. They were dressed up. You know what they also did? They made an amazing community effort internally. They had their most younger project managers and estimators, because the idea was to get these individuals coming to this open house to connect with their team. But what ended up happening was the team connected with themselves internally, because they came out and they said, I was so glad I got to participate in this. I was so glad I got to tell these students my journey, and my team supported that. And they also had their operations. So Terry, who is I think he's like the director of Canada, he came out to this event as well to say, hey, I believe in my team. They're going to tell you their story, and I'm proud of that story. It was such a cultural moment for Multiplex just to see them after the event. They were networking and they were slapping each other on the back, and I'm like, these people aren't leaving. There's no way I'm going to be able to poach one of these people. Not that I would, because I love Anissa and she's amazing, but I'm just saying, like, that is a tight organization. So not only do they just put a retention strategy in place that they didn't even know, they also had a hiring strategy. So again, 3 hires out of this one event. They were hired pretty much on the spot. Yeah. That's just an example that happened 2 weeks ago. Okay, retention strategies. Yeah.
Going back to the interview, smooth interview hiring process.
Yeah.
What do you see in terms of number of interviews?
So I work differently. Our recruitment firm, like if you sat there and said I wanted to see 15 resumes, we wouldn't work with you. We do the job. So that's how I always.
No, sorry, number of interview steps in the process.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Pre-screening video.
Yes.
Is that a smooth process?
I-
Or is it?
I push my clients to first round virtual, second in person, go to offer. That's my suggestion. Again, everyone's very different. The reason being, get to know the person virtually first. Don't waste anyone's time having them commute and drive out, especially if you're going to do it twice, because in person for the second time. Everybody right now is feeling the pinch work-wise. Be very aware that they are taking time off of their work to come to your office to interview for this position, but they probably have a workload of like 120%. So just be kind, be compassionate for that. Do the first round virtual, and you might not even like them virtually. They might not like you virtually. So just have the hash out. Do the hash out, do the informal, come in, do more of a technical assessment, tour them around your office. If you did like them during the first one, let them see your office, let them see what's going on. Get them to feel like part of the team right from the beginning. That's a really great way of selling them as well, is having them see your team camaraderie, your team effort, and then finally go to an offer and do it fast. Don't take 2 weeks. If they're in an interviewing process, I see candidates go anywhere from 24 hours to 48 hours after their final interviews. But that's the process that I recommend to my clients, and I've been pushing them towards that format. Yeah, did that help? Okay, perfect. Okay, so retention strategies, this is an area that we've just talked a little bit about some of these areas. So employee engagement, we were talking about that in terms of, what community efforts are they getting involved with? Do you guys have a social committee? Are you involved with charity work? Are you engaging them one-on-one with coffee chats? That's absolutely something that some of my clients have been doing. They do a monthly coffee catch-up versus an annual, once a year, let's just have a talk about your entire career profession. That doesn't seem to be working in our changing work landscape. I do often get complaints from candidates who are looking to move that they just don't feel like they're being looked at. They just don't feel like they're being participating in the company's culture or organization. They want to feel like they're part of a team, and they just don't. So that's employee engagement. Career development opportunities. A lot of my clients now have budgets in place. And that could be whatever you can afford, because to be very honest with you, most of your candidates will not do it annually. But for the most part, I've seen anything from $1,000, I've seen up to $2,000. If you have an employee who comes up to you and says, you know what, I want to be able to do a master's or an MBA, very expensive. My suggestion for that, because I've navigated this multiple times on offers, if you do the payment for the program and you've decided to invest in this individual, whether they're new or they are an existing employee, have on your contract that they will stick around from anywhere from 2 to 3 years. That way you get your investment back. If they leave within that time, they must pay you the full cost of the program. You can do similar for your training budgets. If someone wants to go back to school because they want to do a technical program, and it's going to cost you $400 or $500, not bad, you're going to invest in this person. Pay them out after they've completed the certification, right? So it's give and take, because you need to make sure this person's invested and they're actually using the training budget that you've put into place, so they're not taking it from somebody else who actually wants to use it. But training budgets is something that, again, we're pushing towards. Recognition and rewards, I mean, you can do like employee of the month, but it's really great to give kudos and props to your team when there's a successful project, have an announcement about that, let them know that that went really well. Giving recognition in terms of financial compensation, I've seen that. I've seen in terms of promotions or in terms of larger projects, so promoting them up in terms of their project values. Work-life balance. This is something, and my husband and I talk about this often, it's not really like work-life so much as it's just life, but the balance between are you telling them we have a work-life culture, but then you're texting them on Sunday at noon because something needs to get done by Monday. So like, let's not be a hypocrite, let's keep in the same values that we've already outlined. So I have a scenario for you, and this is in your worksheet as well. I'm really going to quickly read this out to you. Imagine you run a successful small construction firm in a booming market where project managers are in high demand. Your rock star project manager, Sarah, or whomever, picture it being you. Your rock star project manager is you. Has been instrumental in delivering projects on time and exceeding client expectations. However, with the competitive job market, you've noticed signs of disengagement in Sarah. Her stellar performance has caught the attention of other companies, and you've overheard her expressing concerns about feeling unchallenged. As a small business owner, retaining Sarah is crucial to the success of your upcoming projects. In this scenario, you need to strategize how to re-engage Sarah. How are you going to do that? That's on your worksheets. So we could talk about that for a few minutes. Anyone have any thoughts? If this was you, how would you want your employer to retain you? And I put a bit of a tip at the bottom of your worksheet. She said she was feeling unchallenged. Can we work with that? What does that mean? Any thoughts? If this was you, if you were the project manager, how would you want your company to step up? Yeah.
Ask me what I want.
Yeah.
Ask me what will challenge me.
Transparency.
Yeah.
Communication. Let's have a conversation.
Open up the door, have a conversation.
That's great. Fantastic. Anyone else have something along those lines? That's actually what I wanted to hear. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
If we're pursuing active pursuits, ask her if she wants to be a part of any specific one of them, and see if any of those pique her interest.
Right. Is there a project that you really wanted to get involved with? Again, communication. We're talking about it. I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yes, could we ask them what they want to get interested, engage in? Maybe after that, I want to be the president of the company.
Well, within realistic expectations, for sure.
Your expertise and how do you translate that?
How would I handle that?
Translate it into an action, right? That's kind of demonstrating that.
The drive, they're demonstrating a significant drive. So I have actually come into that scenario, but I'd like to hear how someone else might deal with that. So you guys, I'm assuming there's a significant amount of hiring managers here. You've been open, you've had this communication, and this individual says, you know what, I want to be your right-hand person. I want to be the VP. I want to be the president. Now what? What do you say to that individual knowing you're either an incredibly structured organization or maybe you're a smaller, mid-sized practice? What would you say? I'm just trying to get some, yeah.
Be truthful. So you can't offer something that can't happen, right? So always be honest, always be truthful. If there's opportunity to grow, identify the gaps in that individual. And so I want to be a VP. Where am I right now? Well, you're here. These are the things that you need to work on. How do you work on these things? Maybe there's a leadership development program that you have to join. Maybe there's experience you need to gain through a project or whatever it is. And it's not a straight timeline, right? And maybe it's a smaller company or a medium-sized firm. And so maybe you don't have that experience or those opportunities at your firm. Get them to where you can within your firm or your organization. And if you're a great leader, a great manager, like you want the best for the individual anyways. And so, reality is that if they can't get it with you, they're going to go somewhere else. So keep them as long as you can, and maybe they go somewhere else but maybe they come back later on, right? So maintain that relationship.
Awesome, thank you. That is absolutely what I want to hear. You're totally talking my language right now. What we see is individuals who come forward with that drive and that ambition, they will absolutely go somewhere else to get it. So your job is to talk to them and figure out a way to keep them. And one of the ways that I've seen that, remember we were talking about the annual performance? That is not a great way to keep one of your rock stars who are going to be pivotal in the growth of your organization. This is something you need to do with them almost quarterly. You need to sit them down. You need to talk about the gaps. Great. Your next step, you're a project manager. Your next step is I need you to be a senior project manager. This is what your outlines look like. This is what your job responsibility looks like. I've identified your gaps. Let's talk about how we're going to overcome that and the programs that you're going to have to take. And then in 4 months, we're going to talk about it again and benchmark where you are. In 6 months, we're going to have a conversation about what you need for your next promotion. It is very strategic, and those people love those conversations. They want to keep going, they want to keep growing. And when they do that, they give you more revenue, but they're also going to be happier and better leaders to the rest of their team because they're going to learn from you how to gauge their teams, because at this point, I'm assuming they're going to start taking on responsibilities of overseeing other individuals. They're going to start practicing that same diplomacy, that same conversation, that same openness with their teams, which in turn is going to provide you guys with a culture that will organically grow. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Anyone else, like when you were thinking through this scenario of Sarah, who might actually be you, anyone else thinking of like how we might keep you at this organization? Like what makes you feel like you want to stay? Yeah.
We've created a shareholder structure for our employees, and we've actually just had a discussion last night about extending it across the whole firm. So technically everyone in the firm can have a part of the company when starting and eventually build up to a certain amount. So it would give them ownership in our company and of their own work. And I think as soon as you get to a certain level, you would feel that you're actually molding the company. You have a place at the table to be heard and see where you want to push the firm. So that's what we've been doing. I've been one of the earlier people into the structure. So there's 2 big partners, then myself and another guy, and then a few beneath. So now we're starting to feel we're shaping the firm and they're ready to succession the firm.
Amazing.
Us. But hopefully everyone else below us see those,
Yeah.
those strategies. I know there is a couple that do see it and are asking about it. So we're looking at opening up to everybody and see how far anyone wants to take it.
Right.
It's on them to start pushing up into that.
I love that because you just touched on remember I was talking at the very beginning, I said there's 2 major categories that can go into your hiring practice, and one of them is impact. That's impact. You are asking these people to contribute and they will get a direct response from the organization, financial I'm assuming, but ownership. You're giving them the ability to impact the organization. And those individuals that are asking, those are the ones 100% that you need to ensure they're being looked after, because those are going to be your top players. They're engaged, they are responsive, and they want to, it sounds like they want to have that impact within your organization. So those are probably going to be your top performers. I mean, hopefully they're your top performers, but.
It looks like they are from
Absolutely.
the onset of their careers.
May I ask you the decision to go into more of an open shareholder, how did that come about?
I guess it's been in discussion for a while.
Yeah.
We're always looking at to see who's that person that looks is going to be the next person for succession and has that drive and looks like they're going to be what we call a lifer. But at this point is maybe someone doesn't know they want to be a lifer until they have that opportunity to say so. And why limit it to 50%? Like if we had a discussion, basically we're leaving 4 people out of the discussion. They're gonna find out that this is happening. Why not give them the opportunity? They may or may not want to do it, and then it's their choice. But then at that point, if they do, that's the person you want, is the person who wants to be part of it. And if you don't want to be part of the firm or ownership, then part of it.
Right.
So,
Maybe you're just going to be that person that's an
yeah, some
employee,
people
and
might just
we
wanna
could, yeah.
Work there, and that's fine. enough for
100%.
them, right?
Does anyone else come from an organization that has employee ownership? There's a couple, yes? And how do you feel about that?
It's interesting, it's been in transition because it was a partnership originally, and as the partners are retiring out of the firm, they're establishing, so we're transitioning into it. And so it's been an interesting process. It's not quite finalized yet.
It isn't, yeah.
Junior employees are seeing that succession plan starting to take place, and it is a good thing.
And I think, you were just mentioning you're communicating this with your staff. That's super important, to be transparent and say, we want this for you. We still need to figure it out. So bear with us. Your best interest is in our mind. We're going to work through this. I think communicating with your staff, with your employees, is going to be so pivotal in any of these strategies to say, we want to make things better, both for hiring and for the retention side. So we are going to communicate with you some of the new practices we're implementing. They are not going to be 100%. There's going to be a transition. There's going to be tweaks, but it is for you, it is in your best interest, and this is what we're doing. And that communication, it stops them from making assumptions. And usually when I talk to candidates, I actually sometimes tell candidates to stay where they are because they've literally made an assumption about something, and they always go to the negative. And I'm like, did you actually just talk to your boss or your supervisor? Did you just have that conversation? No, I haven't talked to them. So do you know that that's actually the plan that they have implemented for you? Well, no, I don't actually know. I'm not moving you. Please have a conversation with your employer. If your employer has decided at that time not to move forward with X, Y, and Z, come back to me. Then you're a disgruntled employee. But you're not quite yet. You haven't had that conversation. But communicating gets ahead of that. So they don't call my organization right away without actually knowing what's going on. So communication in any of these transition processes are going to be incredibly key to getting this smoothly running and effectively running. Okay. I only have 10 more minutes, guys, and like I said, we're going to get kicked out. So if you have any questions after the 10 o'clock, Mike, who's in the back, he's going to help you. He's with NextGen as well. He's going to help you. I'm running to the main stage. I have a panel discussion on for job seekers. But if you're a hiring manager, it might be helpful as well. We're going to flush out some more of these. I've got Canadian labor manager that I'm speaking to. I have Shauna McKenzie Anita, who is from the Career Foundations. She manages labor workforce for an Employment Ontario affiliate. And I have Anissa, who I mentioned is the Multiplex HR. So it's a stacked panel, and apparently the Assistant Ministry of Labor is going to be introducing us. I just found that out, so I'm a little nervous. All in all, I want to say thank you so much for coming to this workshop. I really appreciate it. I do have some takeaways for you as well. So obviously the worksheets, just to get you moving in the right direction. There's a homework page, job descriptions. It's literally your starting point. We got to figure out job descriptions, guys. I get some really terrible job descriptions from hiring managers, which do not at all reflect what they just told me over the phone they need. So I put together a worksheet that you can take home with you and flush out what a job description should actually look like to capture your audience. As well, so this is the newsletter I was talking about. So the newsletter comes out once a month. This month might be a bit sketchy, so just look at our previous ones. So this is newsletters. There's going to be a lot of information in our earlier articles regarding, for hiring managers, sorry. I do a lot of work in articles from the client perspective, but the last 3 months I had one of my senior recruiters working from the candidate's perspective and helping them navigate the job market. So there's a intersection between two. And again, both could be helpful for you. This is the team. What? Oh. Sorry. I forgot how QR codes work for a minute. You have to scan it. But yeah, you can find us on LinkedIn, just under NextGen Professional LinkedIn. We have a massive community board. We've grown our community. We're over, I think, 80,000 construction professionals in Canada, and we've now entered into the US. And part of what we do is, honestly, we build a community. We tell people what's going on, what trends are happening, because you guys are in a labor shortage and a professional shortage. If I can educate the job seekers on what you are looking for, and what you need to see from them. This will make a little bit of a smoother transition, so we do a lot of community outreach. Okay. Yes. This is our team. So I'm Executive Director, Operations Co-founder. Again, 13 years I've been running NextGen. Then we've got Robert Hlebovsky, who does our development. So he's on the back end running all our business development, email campaigns, the community boards, et cetera. So a lot of the, I'm going to say tech stuff, because that's not me. Mike Watkinson at the back. So we actually help our clients facilitate coaching in-house, whether it's individual or corporate coaching. And this can be anything from evaluating the culture and the mental performance of your staff, as well as increasing and helping them with their productivity and mental performance. So that's Mike at the back. He's with us at the booth as well. Kayla McIntyre is my senior recruitment professional. We don't have a big team. We run incredibly lean, but we do a lot of damage. And she's the one who runs the recruitment efforts. She works with architects, developers, GCs, manufacturers, you name it. She does all of those roles. And then finally, I have Sarah Jane Rutherford. So I'm going to flip to another slide in a minute. She helps with my HR consulting. I am not a CHRP. I just come to you with the information I have gathered over the last 13 years in a sort of a meta-analysis. She's the one who actually can implement your policies, procedures, documents, all of the things you need to get started. I do also do the implementation, but more from a strategy perspective. She's like your nuts and soups and bolts of what you need to be compliant with Ontario regulations. This is my corporate diagnostic. This is a tool that was asked of me over the last year, and I finally did it. It is, if you scan it, it'll take you to a PDF. The PDF is lengthy, I apologize, but it is a starter kit of yes and no's. What do you need? What do you want? It's a menu. You can pick and choose whatever you want, and then you just start there. It can be overwhelming, so I do want to tell you that it's just a menu. You don't have to incorporate everything into your practices. I mean, you might want liability insurances. You might want that. But again, pick and choose what you want. It's very thorough, and it'll go through your onboarding processes, your talent acquisition, your engagement, your retention strategies, and your exit strategies. If someone leaves you and they were amazing, make sure that you get them back when they decide to change up their career, right? Have that conversation with them. Have that culture where they can come back. Everyone, oh, we got a couple of. Everyone scan that? Oh, perfect. Perfect, okay. And then finally, this is NextGen Women. So if you are interested in either being involved with NextGen Women, sponsoring us, we're always looking for money. We're not for profit. You can donate here. You can talk to me, and you can talk to us about our programming. We have new programming for 2024. Again, we are here to elevate women's careers who are in construction. I'm also looking at mentors. Mentors. I need mentors. Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate everything. This is where you can find me. So if you scan this one, it takes you to my Calendly link. So if you ever want to have an appointment with me or talk to me further, you can definitely just scan this and block yourself in.